Welcome to the Making Mischief podcast. Here are your hosts, Chris and Heather.
Welcome back to Making Mischief. In this episode, we'll be talking about the Initiation Gastley sale and all the nonsense that went with it.
Yes, lots of nonsense, mostly on Chris's part, but that's okay. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm blaming him.
Make sure you go and follow us at Making Mischief Pod on Instagram and also at Mischief Toys on Instagram. Check out Mischief Toys at mischieftoys.com/ what? mischieftoys.com and follow our newsletter. I'm sorry. I'm so used to saying our Patreon on Gastlecast. I'm using slashes. So Initiation Gastley. A lot of people wonder, what the hell is Initiation Gastley? A lot of companies like to have like their OG special, very limited piece that is sort of what starts their brand. And I wondered, what would we do? Because I know a lot of my favorite companies have that. Why don't we do something similar? I think that would be a whole lot of fun. That was, realistically, that was the idea.
Yeah, and it turned into something completely convoluted and crazy, but now it makes sense to the people who follow along.
Yeah, so the people at the very beginning who bought this figure got an item with the figure. So before I tell you what the item was, basically I wanted to come up with something that would be packaged into your box. And when you open the box, there would be hidden messages in said item. Originally, I thought we would maybe put it on a pin.
Yes.
I also thought maybe we would put it somewhere on the box.
Yes, but we already did a pin for the initiation. So would it be 2 pins? Are they getting 2? Like, what's going on?
Exactly. And this item, the idea of it was brought up way late in the game.
Way late.
And so I didn't necessarily know if we could pull it off, because we wanted to sell Initiation as soon as we possibly could so we could start kicking off other figures and other molds and getting other things manufactured. We sort of started off with Common Gastley, which included the first run Gastley, and Initiation, and that's all we had for a really long time.
Yes.
Like months. And I don't think we had anything new until like the end of the year. I don't think we sold anything after Initiation and Common Gastley until like August, September. Was it like that? It was that late, right?
I think September.
It was something like that because Gargoyle Gastley happened in October.
Yeah.
Was there something in between?
Yes, we did the Error Glow.
Error Glow.
Yeah,
that's right. Oh man, that's a whole. That's probably going to take 2 episodes.
Maybe 5. I don't know.
Maybe 5. But when I was thinking about what we would pack in with Initiation Gastley, I thought maybe a coin would be cool. That would be kind of neat because the company we worked with, they make challenge coins. Usually they're used for like the military, fire department, police. And the artwork that they had shown me for other coins looked really good, right? So this company did the coins and the pins. And I'm like, okay, why don't we do a coin? Only to find out how long it takes for the coin making process.
Yeah.
And so, which is why the Initiation Gastley didn't sell until April. We would have sold Initiation Gastley probably around the same exact time as Common Gastley had it not been for my crazy idea.
Yeah, but it's a good thing that we didn't, because like until we got our shipment with the Error Glow, like there was nothing.
Right.
So there was like a huge amount of time between April when we sold Initiation and September when we sold Error Glow.
Yeah. So we vowed for never to allow that to happen again. Yeah. Where we are empty-handed, we don't have something to sell, something to drop, interesting ideas continue to flow, and we keep making new items no matter the cost, no matter what happens, right?
So in February was when I got our very first artwork of the coin. So we must have started thinking about the coin right around then, probably shortly before, like probably right around the sale of the first run and the common.
Yeah, because I wanted to figure out what we were going to do special with Initiation Gastley. Because originally, again, I wasn't going to do anything. It was just going to be a very special Gastley figure that we dropped, basically to say, hey, Mischief Toys is here. But it became something much greater than that. So we came up with this coin. I really wanted it to be like ancient looking.
Yes.
We ended up doing that later.
Yeah.
Which down the line in our series of podcasts, we'll talk a little bit more about this newer coin that we made, which is going to become a staple with Mischief Toys. This original coin is very common. I don't know. It's just common looking. Like there's nothing special about it. It says Mischief Toys on it. On one side of it, it has Gastley's head. But the really special part about this coin is that on the ring of the coin, on the outside ring of the coin, we included letters.
Yes.
And these letters were just very random. Okay, so in the last episode, I had mentioned how bummed out I was about this coin, like basically how it came out. So the ring around the coin, you'll find a bunch of random letters in like think of it almost looking like a sentence, I guess, but just random letters. I wanted those letters to be the full span of the ring of that coin.
Yes.
For whatever reason, they only made it like the top part of the coin. I don't know why. Something got screwed up in translation. Again, this was us working with the middleman, and that happened quite often.
I remember making that phone call.
To have that.
To talk about coins because, like, and I was talking to you. So here's another tidbit. Everything that we do, we have to think about it and can we use this again somehow?
Right.
And that part of the question, yeah, probably not. Like,
no, we'll probably never use that coin again.
Yeah, probably
I don't
never,
like it. I don't like it.
So here's the thing, like, when you get things made that are like physical things, generally there's a mold fee.
Right.
So with our original Gastley pins, you know, we could reuse that mold because we made him a bunch of different colors. We made him glitter. We've changed metal colors, blah, blah, blah. So this is something that made sense. You spend the money on the mold fee plus the product. You're going to make money back. With this coin, I was like, you know, this mold fee is very expensive. Like, how can we use this again? And the answer is, well, we can't because it literally says initiation on it. So it's specifically for Initiation Gastley. It has like Mischief Toys on the back, I think. And yeah,
it says Mischief Toys like around the back of it as well, like just like in a circle.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't come out looking horrible.
No.
Well, I mean, it looks more
I'm
like...
not talking about... You're talking about something different. So my point is, like, I was thinking, how can we use this coin again to make the mold?
No, I understand that. But going back to what I was saying, that originally, that I didn't like the way the coin came out. I'm not saying it looked bad, and I know we couldn't reuse it, but all of these reasons are... It sucks. Like, this whole idea of this, I wish I would have thought it through, is the point. Because, one... we didn't execute this coin to be reused, and two, it didn't come out the way that I want it to look.
Yeah.
So it has multiple strikes against it.
Yeah. So, well, my point was, like, when we do stuff, I want to make sure that we can use it in a different way. So, for example, when we made the gargoyles, you know, are we going to use this again? What are our future plans for this mold, you know, because mold fees are very expensive. So with that being said, like, we have a ton of ideas to reuse just about everything that we do in some way, shape, or form. This initiation coin, I mean, you can only use it for Initiation Gastley. And I mean, we added a little bit of an extra cost onto Initiation Gastley, but I would consider that very close to a loss if it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because it just... Making 150 of one item makes the item more expensive. If we were to make 10,000 of those coins, they would have come out so much less expensive per unit. And the mold fee wouldn't have really mattered because, you know, if...
We'd make thousands of them because we would do different things with it.
Yeah, but we couldn't do that. So it's like we're basically throwing money into the wind by making one specific item. So... with that being said, I asked so many questions, and he said that on the side of the coin, if we made something that were to be reused, we could change what was around the sides of the coin. So we could have put a different code in, we could have put no code in, we could have made it say like Mischief Toys on that ring or whatever. So I made sure that it could be reused if we reuse it, but the design that we came up with, obviously we can't use it again.
Right. Yeah, it looks more like a carnival coin or something you see at like Chuck E. Cheese, or just any of those places you would find on like a boardwalk where you put your money in and it gives you a coin to use on machines.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me, and I hate it because that is quite the opposite of what I really wanted. But having to come up with something so quickly, I think we sort of just did what we could as quickly as we could in order to implement it and put it out. We learned our lesson because we're not going to operate that way ever again. We're going to make sure that whatever we come up with, that it is what we're really looking for, what we can reuse, just across the board. Everything about whatever the item may be makes sense to what we're doing and makes sense cost-wise.
Yeah.
Because making these last-minute decisions, which I'm very good at doing, sometimes blows up in our face.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now we have this coin. Again, it's not the coin I wanted. However, at the time, I was like, this is pretty cool. I like this. It gave me a general idea of like what we were going to do moving into the future. Again, it's one of those things, it's like a stepping stone into the right direction with a lot of the things that we do. So this coin had the code laced into it.
Yes.
So that code meant something really big, and people didn't really know what exactly it meant.
And to be honest, we almost didn't either. It sort of developed as we were moving through things. Like we knew we wanted to do something with it. We knew that it was going to create something bigger, but we just didn't know exactly what it would evolve into.
Right.
And we had ideas, but those ideas greatly changed over time. So also included within the box was a strip of paper, and I printed it. I had to find like sort of like an old looking font, and my original plan was to put it on regular printer paper, and I was going to go through the steps of making it look weathered. But then I was like, hold on, it's 2023. Or no, it was 2022? It was 2022. It's 2022. I can go on Amazon and I bet you they have weathered paper, because what I was thinking of was like hand ripping these pieces of paper, putting them in like coffee to stain it, and like sort of crumbling them, or like lighting the sides on fire or something. Like I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was going to do it myself. But I found a weathered looking paper on Amazon, thank goodness, because that would have been so ridiculous.
Well, that would have just added a whole other thing that we had to do in this process.
So luckily I found like the weathered paper on Amazon, and I printed all of these little slips out. And it says, in this box, you'll find a secret. Do not share it. Be sure to keep it. Search for the secret words. New clues will follow soon with instructions on how to join our commune. Break the code, listen close, and stay tuned. So basically, that means, you know, somewhere in the box, which, I mean, the only item that didn't belong was the coin.
Yeah.
But I think people thought that we may have put it in there to throw them off, or maybe that was just included to commemorate like Initiation Gastley, because a lot of people were like tearing their boxes apart. They were like, do I have to cut into Gastley? Like all of these questions were being asked, and I'm like, no, there's something in the box, on the box, within the box, just somewhere. You don't have to destroy your things to get to it. And we ended up sending out email. Oh, this is a whole other thing. So the initiation sale, let's talk about that real quick. The initiation sale.
Yeah.
It happened early April of 2022.
There was only 150 figures.
Yep, and we put some up for early access, not very many. I think we put like 50 up for early access.
Something like that, yeah.
I think 100 were to the general public. Both of those drops sold out in less than a minute. I mean, it went fast.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew, like, holy shit, like, people are into this.
Yeah.
So, because at first, with the common Gastley, I was like, okay, like, people like it, but do they really like it? And then when we did initiation, it was like, okay, like,
You're really starting to see
serious
everything come to
business.
life.
Yeah, because, you know, it was such a good feeling to sell out of the initial Gastleys that we had, the first run and the commons. But then, you know, seeing it happen again, and even though it was a lower limit figure, you know, seeing it happen again was like, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool.
Yeah,
it was
it was
really
cool.
cool to see. And like, everyone was posting pictures of them and like saying, oh my God, guys, I can't believe you guys did this. It was very cool. So we sold out like instantly on both drops. And then I had to, again, individually tag these people. Every single person who bought an initiation Gastley, as we were packing them, we wrote their name and we wrote what number initiation they got.
Yeah, because we could track everybody because we knew that it would eventually grow into something else.
Yes.
So we needed to know who was who.
Yes, which that's something I didn't do for the original Gastley, but I knew initiation was going to be tied to something. So we wanted to, as long as we could, keep track of where each figure landed, which was very hard to keep up with, but luckily, like, I think I did a pretty good job in that time frame keeping up with things. But yeah, that was a whole other thing I had to do. But once we made the sales, I went in and manually tagged every single person who bought initiation with I want to say it just said initiation.
You tagged their name.
No, I tag. So in Shopify, you can tag specific customers.
That's what I mean.
So I tagged their profile with initiation, and it's nothing that anybody else can see but me.
Right.
But it allows you to do specific things with those customers. So I was able to send emails only to those people.
Okay.
So I would send out clues only to the people who bought the initiation. And that was another thing I had to figure out with the tags. Like, how do I do this? Because Chris gave me this task of like, only these specific people who purchased this are in this mysterious society that we haven't even really like told people about yet. All we did was say, this is going to lead to something big. So you want to make sure that you find the code and you crack it. So
that's what started like the mad dash of people trying to figure out, one, where is the secret hidden thing?
Yes.
And then two, how do I break whatever the code may be?
Yes.
And I can't tell you how many people were messaging us in that time period for months, asking for us to basically help them or give them a hint, or, you know, share something via email to everybody who's in the or whoever bought the initiation Gastley.
Yeah.
Share a hint across the board to everybody, and we did do that. We were sharing like little emails, and we would give like a little.
We shared like 3 or 4 clues.
Like one of them was like, it's 2 words or something like that. Like we basically were trying to help people the best way we could, but we really wanted to put people up to the test to see what would happen. Again, this was all experimental. We didn't know how it was going to play out, or if people were going to dig it, or if people basically would tell us to F off. I'm not doing this. This is stupid. I don't care what the end goal is or what the end item is. But people were really into it. I would say the majority of the people were really into it. There were some people who directly messaged me specifically to tell me, there is no way in hell I'm going to figure this out, so count me out. And I would always respond to those people, keep trying, it's all going to work out. Once you figure out this whole thing, you're going to laugh about how easy this was. And most of those people who came to me and said they were giving up, they actually didn't, and they figured it out. And I was really proud to see that people were figuring out what the heck we were putting together. I think there were some people who were sharing with others and sharing information.
There definitely were. And there were even people who didn't get the initiation Gastley, who asked people, like once they all figured it out that it was on the rim of that coin, they would ask people to help them solve it. And some people did. So basically what we did with everybody, once we saw a majority of people receive their initiation figures, we sent an email that says, have you cracked the code? And we said, enter the code here. So it took them to a page that you had to be logged into your account. And this is where the apps come in. So I created a page that you could only get to if you were logged into your account that said initiation.
Okay.
So you had to be logged into your account that was tagged with the tag initiation. So if you weren't logged in, or you were logged into an account and you didn't purchase initiation, you couldn't access it.
Right.
And that's a whole other layer of things. So I had to figure out how to do that. And it was not easy. I mean, I talked to multiple Shopify representatives because apps are like a third-party thing. Shopify doesn't have control over it, but they're good at figuring out like what might help you based off of what you're trying to do.
Right.
So then we started, after we gave them like where they can enter it, we would give them clues. So on the very first clue, it says, on the edge, you'll find a clue to finalize your initiation. This will help lead you. Skip 3 to reach the end. This is when you will transcend.
So basically the code was however many letters, and it was, you start with the first letter, and that was your letter, skip 3, and then the next letter, skip 3, then the next letter. And what ended up happening was you figured out that the code was make mischief.
Yes.
That was the code. That was the code that you needed. And you took that code and you typed it into the website, which unlocked a video that we had created. And that video, I don't think we've ever released that publicly. I think that the people who cracked the code, I think the people that cracked the code saw it. It was pretty, I don't know, it was very vague. It was now telling you what you were, you're a part of something bigger, and, you're now a part of what we call now the Coven of Mischief. So the Coven of Mischief is basically a special society of, people who bought the initiation Gastley, those guys, and then we've also opened it up over the last year or so, and we've allowed in more people.
It was only in May. So,
yeah.
Well, let's talk about what the Coven is. So in April was when we sold initiation and we started putting out clues. We didn't open the Coven until I think October or November, because we had to finalize what is the Coven going to be? What items are we going to have up in the Coven? So what it started out with was we got shirts and hats made. We had to make a logo. Do you want to talk about the logo?
Yeah, we had to make a logo for Coven of Mischief, it's a combination of a bunch of things, but it's a symbol. It's Nordic, and it means Loki.
Yeah,
it's basically Loki's symbol.
And who is Loki?
Loki is the god of mischief.
Yeah, so that's why we took inspiration from a symbol that represents Loki, but then we also put Gastley's horns on it, and we sort of offset them.
Yep.
So we sort of made it our own.
That's funny that you say the offset thing. So one of our people who collect Gastleys and watch Gastlecast and everything reached out to me yesterday, a very good friend. He reached out and he asked me, hey, I'm going to go get the Coven of Mischief logo tattooed.
Wow.
Are the horns offset? And I was like, yeah. And he sent me a picture of what his artist had drawn up. And I sent him our actual photo, of the actual logo. And he's like, oh my God, I never noticed that the horns were offset. And the reason why they're offset is because of how the toy stands.
Yes.
He's sort of his head is sort of tilted, and that's where we got the inspiration. It actually makes it look it makes it look more interesting to me. It adds character to it because the horns aren't perfect.
Yeah.
And that's sort of mischievous too. The fact that they're not straight, right? Yeah. Everything is always a little goofy.
Yeah, so our artist drew that up really well. And Chris and I ended up getting tattoos. We each have a Gastley, and we also got the Coven of Mischief before anyone knew who what the Coven of Mischief was.
Right.
And we added it on. I was like finishing some work on my arm, and we added it on during one of my appointments.
Yeah.
I told him that you would be coming in with me later, or as I was like finishing up, and he left open some time to take care of what you were getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we showed off our Gastley tattoos, but we didn't show off the Coven of Mischief because we didn't want to unveil that logo.
Yep.
So
yeah, we were keeping a super secret at that time.
Yeah, during this time, people are starting to see initiation Gastleys go up for sale within the group and on eBay and stuff, and I was actively tracking the numbers. I had a spreadsheet, and if it switched hands, people knew somehow to like come to me.
Yeah.
If they got it, and I would ask them what number. I would untag whoever was in the Coven of Mischief who let their initiation figure go, and I gave it to the person who purchased the initiation Gastley. And it was difficult, but I did it because I wanted the Coven of Mischief to be for people who were invested in what we were doing. And if someone's selling one of the only 2 figures that we had put out at that point, they don't care as much. I shouldn't say that, because things come up and people sell their collectibles. I really shouldn't say that. But in my opinion, they were just giving that up. They were giving their membership up.
Yeah.
So
they were forfeiting.
Yeah. So when we finally opened the Coven of Mischief, we didn't want to just do the hats and shirts right away. We had them on hand for like ever. We ordered those very early.
Yeah.
I think we got them in like May or June of 2022. We didn't open the Coven of Mischief until like November, I think.
Wow.
And we dropped the narrator.
Well, that's a story too.
That is a story.
I think that'll be in the next episode, because we have not talked at all about the cartoons that we developed.
Or the narrator.
How we developed the cartoons. How we met Peter, the narrator.
Wait.
And how the narrator figure became a thing.
Wait. We should really talk about like the initial logos for Mischief Toys in an episode, because that's another saga in itself as well.
Yeah, I don't even remember what you're talking about.
You will once we get off.
Will I?
Yeah,
okay,
once we get off of here and I tell you about it. But
okay.
So next episode could be about the narrator, or it could be about
the logo situation.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think I really want to talk about the narrator and the cartoons, because
cool.
the cartoons is sort of a huge part of what we were doing, and it was a trajectory I was taking for marketing.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that I don't even think people gave a crap about the cartoons at all. I mean, some people liked them.
Cool.
They were fun and everything. And I thought that was going to be huge for our company. That was going to be something we would do on a regular basis. But I don't know if we will. It's definitely something I like and something I'm interested in, but I don't know if we're ready for that quite yet, at least on the amount that we were making at the very beginning. We spent a lot of money. Talk about spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of money on those little cartoon commercial things.
It was insane. After like I counted everything up, I remember like getting incredibly like upset, because I had told you a couple times like
it was a lot.
This is a lot, and you didn't listen. So finally, I showed you what we spent on cartoons, and you were like, "You were right." I'm like, "Yeah, I know I was." That's why I've been telling you to
Initiation Gastley was sold, and then that opened the doors to the Coven of Mischief, which is a whole new world. We were able to drop a figure. So basically, the Coven of Mischief includes a figure, at least one figure per year for those who are in it. It offers them early access to certain figures. It also offers merchandise specific to Coven of Mischief, and we're developing a lot of newer items specifically for the Coven of Mischief, which we will be releasing over the next course of a couple of years and beyond. I mean, we want to build Coven of Mischief as well. That's yet another like small brand within the larger brand that is Mischief Toys.
Yeah,
we'll talk more about that. We'll talk about the narrator, Peter, our narrator, who is amazing. I can't wait to discuss our meeting with him and just everything about about him. Such a awesome individual. But we want to mention again to go and check out our Instagram at Making Mischief Pod and also at Mischief Toys on Instagram. Check out both of them and check out MischiefToys.com. Sign up for the newsletter. You'll find out all the newest information that you need to know about Mischief Toys. And if you want, head over to Facebook and join our Mischief Toys group. It's a great group. People are trading, selling Gastleys on there from time to time. A lot of people are sort of talking about Gastley, talking about Coven of Mischief, talking about upcoming items. It's just a lot of fun to be there. So we highly recommend you go and check that group out. We will be doing giveaways on there, proto giveaways, and all sorts of other cool stuff. So if you've stayed until this very end of the podcast, I'm just giving you a heads up. Something big might happen over on the Facebook group. Guys, thank you so much for listening. And next week's episode is going to be a crazy one where we talk about Narrator Gastley. Remember, as always, make mischief!
Keep current with Mischief Toys by following at Mischief Toys on Instagram and by joining our newsletter on MischiefToys.com. Thank you for listening to the Making Mischief podcast, and remember to make mischief.